have a nice hand for Burbank Community Band. Great job. Here comes the flyover. I want to thank Cusimano Real Estate for sponsoring our flyover. Now, when we do the Armed Forces medley, be sure to stand up with pride for your particular branch of service. Army.
Coast Guard. Next is Coast Guard. We're always ready for the call. We play such a symphony through surf and storm and howling gale. High shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our fame and glory too. To fight, to save, or fight and die. Aye, Coast Guard, we are for you. Marines. To the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. Yes, we'll fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine. Air Force. Off we go.
U.S. Air Force.
Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Adam boys, give it a gun. Down we dive, spouting our flame from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame, or go down in flame. Nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. Navy.
Let's have a nice hand for the Burbank Community Band. Wonderful job, under the direction of Paulette Westfall. They're always a wonderful part of our ceremony, and there's a lot of veterans that are a member of that band, and there's a couple that I just read an article about in the Burbank Leader, Andre Giacomelli, Korean War veteran, and Sam Ingle Sr., World War II veteran. Good morning. My name is Mickey DiPaolo, and once again it is my honor and privilege to welcome you to the City of Burbank's Memorial Day ceremony for 2015. Your presence here today is a tribute to the men and women who lost their lives in the service of our country. Could all service members and veterans here today please stand? Thank each and every one of you for answering your country's call to duty. All of you have made our armed forces the most respected in the world. Thank you for your service and welcome home. And I'd also like to have any Gold Star wives or mothers please stand. Thank you. God bless you, ladies. Today, people throughout our country are gathering to remember and honor and pay respect to those who have given their lives so that we all may live in freedom and enjoy a wonderful day like we have today, and remember the unbelievable sacrifice that these men and women have made for our freedom. It's something we should never take for granted, and obviously nobody here does, because we're all here to remember. Let us not forget the service members currently serving in harm's way and the millions of veterans who are still suffering from the horrors of their wartime experience. And let us not forget the family, friends, and loved ones of our fallen heroes. Recently, one of our members of our Veterans Committee, a very proud World War II veteran, Florence Mast, passed away. Florence was a wonderful person, and she was a very, very valuable member, not only of our committee, but also of the entire community. She volunteered everywhere she had a chance. I'd like to read a little bit of a bio on Florence. It was written in the Best of Times, it's a Jocelyn Center publication, and it was written by Alex Inawat. Florence Mast was born on January 29, 1921 in Newark, New Jersey. Her father served as a sailor in the United States Navy for 20 years, circumventing the globe 4 full times during his tenure. Her father had a difficult time finding work, but eventually worked as a police officer when he came home. True to his loyalty to the Navy, her father was nicknamed Admiral, inspired by the tales and stories he would share with the other police force officers about his experience during World War II. He was a well-respected man and instilled American loyalty and national pride in his children, including Florence. At the outset of World War II, Florence married her friend and neighbor, Milton Joseph Barna. Eventually he was drafted and he enlisted in the Army and served for 5 years. Alone and at home most of the time, with many of her friends and acquaintances in service, Florence made the decision to join the Navy. After basic training at Hunter College, she was assigned to the Hospital Corps of the Navy. She trained at Bethesda Naval Hospital in Maryland, where she participated in everything pertaining to nursing. At her first station in Philadelphia, she encountered blind soldiers who would come to speak to her and the other nurses on the ward. She would never forget the experience with them and carried her empathy for the blind for the rest of her life. Soon after the war ended, Florence's husband passed away due to unfortunate consequences of war-stricken injuries. She moved back to her hometown of Irvington, New Jersey, and there she met Albert C. Mask, the health inspector of the department that she was working for, the secretary of the Board of Health. And the two found an unwavering love for one another that led them to an adventurous journey that took them back and forth between Vermont and Florida. Florence's husband passed away in 1965, and she had a rough period. But then in 1977, she decided to move to California with her relatives in Los Angeles and California. She fell in love with San Francisco, but the job market was pretty tough, and so she relocated to Los Angeles, where she worked for MCA Records for about 2 years, and then she found employment at Lockheed and worked there for 7.5 years before she retired in February 1986. Consistent with her proactive personality, Florence kept herself busy by volunteering with the Guide Dogs of America in Sylmar for 13 years. The most difficult thing for me to accept about the war was blindness, in quoting Florence. They'd come around our barracks with their buddies and talk to us through the windows, trying to tell from our voices what we look like. Florence's empathy and heart engineered her willingness to volunteer and help those who could not see. Coupled with her love for animals that spans back to her youth, Florence filled her time with dedication and love to the dogs she handled at the Guide Dogs of America, which is located in Sylmar. As I said, she did this for 13 years. And Rhonda Bissell, who was a coordinator there, said that rain or shine, she showed up every Saturday to be with her puppies. We never had anyone that dedicated. After Florence did retire, like I said, she volunteered in numerous areas, and she volunteered with our RSVP program right here in Burbank for 25 years. And of course, she also served on our Veterans Committee. She started serving our committee way back when we were recognized as a World War II commemorative city, and that's when she became a part of our committee. And we had the moving wall here in 1998. She was here every day, helping out, showing different people where the names were on the wall. And she had just unbelievable energy, and she had a passion for life. And at Harvard Plaza, where she lived for many years, my mom was a neighbor of hers, and they were very good friends. And Florence had a flag from her dad after he was buried, from his military burial, and that flag now flies at the Harvard Plaza flagpole there amongst the beautiful trees surrounding it. And that flag not only serves the memory of Florence, of Florence's father, but also now in memory of Florence. God bless you, Florence. Your wonderful life here on earth made a difference. You are truly a representative of the greatest generation. Florence Mass. We have a wonderful ceremony planned for today, highlighted by the Ceremony of the Rose. And each member of my colleagues on the Veterans Committee will be reading the names who appear on our memorials. And we don't have plaques here for the Global War on Terror or World War I, but they are coming. But those names will also be read today. Once again, thank you all for being here. I hope you take home a lot from this ceremony. And now I'd like to introduce the Crescenta Valley High School Air Force Junior ROTC for the presentation of colors, followed by the national anthem from Miss Jennifer Payne, and the invocation from Dr. Jerry A. Jones. Thank you.
stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let us pray. Dear God, Father of us all, it is with great humility that I implore your favor and blessing upon today's ceremony, in which we will honor the service and ultimate sacrifice of those whose bodies lie cold in death in ceremonies both here and abroad. Their blood will forever speak silently to us that freedom is not free. It is impossible to place a value on a single human life. Life is precious. To prove it, all we would have to do is ask the parent who has lost a son or a daughter to the ravages of war, the wife who has lost a husband, the husband who's lost a wife, the child that has lost a mom or a dad. Freedom is not free. Every white cross on every grave of every fallen hero screams this message to all of us. Today, we enjoy freedom possibly as no other nation on earth. Our blessings are multitudinous compared to most in our world. To those who gave their life in defending this great gift called freedom, we owe a debt that we will never in this lifetime be able to pay. So, dear God, we bless their memory, and we pray for their families as they, along with us across our nation today, pay homage to the men and women who lie silent in death, but who will forever live in our minds and hearts. O Lord, may we never forget that freedom is not free. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the flag salute. I'd ask that the gentlemen remove their hats. Remind that veterans, by act of Congress, have the privilege of rendering a hand salute while giving the Pledge of Allegiance. Follow me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the government in which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello there, test. Is my microphone on now? Thank you. Please be seated. I'm sorry I gave you that command because I thought I was going to do that. When you get to be 91, you lose three things. One is your memory, and I can't remember what the other two items are. Nostalgia plays a great part in our lives, and our city manager, Mark Scott, likes to call me Uncle Jimmy, and some of the rest of you might remember me as Webster Webfoot. But let's go forward now. And Webster's voice is also the one in Yogi Bear, the little duck who wanted Chopper to be his mama. And he said, "Where's your mom?" And he always answered, "I love your mama. Now, serious. I want you to look at this old friend up there, standing by the podium. It's the greatest honor on earth I could possibly have on this special Memorial Day to bring you a message from the very heart of Old Glory. I am the flag of the United States of America, conceived in the dreams of liberty and the hopes of freedom. I was designed by the hands of Betsy Ross, and her sewing basket was my cradle. Though I was never an orphan, I was adopted by the Continental Congress in 1777 and proclaimed the national emblem of a nation newly born on this continent, fighting valiantly for survival and destined to bring to all mankind a new concept in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I rode with Ethan Allen, the Green Mountain Boys, at the Battle of Fort Bennington. I was flown above the decks of Old Ironsides and the massive Yankee clippers. I blazed the trail with Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett. I led the settlers coming west and crossed Death Valley in a covered wagon. Once I fell to the ground at Custer's last stand to Little Bighorn. There were no living hands left to pick me up, but I galloped up the slopes of San Juan Hill with Colonel Teddy Roosevelt and his Rough Riders in the United States Cavalry. I was carried through the halls of Montezuma onto the shores of Tripoli by the United States Marine Corps. I stayed with the boys till it was over there. On the battlefields of the Marne, Chateau Thierry, St. Mihiel in the Argonne Forest, I saw many of the youth and manhood of our nation fall and lie still in death, that had given their last full measure of blood. The war was over for them forever, but I kept my lonely vigil over their graves and stayed to watch the poppies go amid the crosses, row on row in Flanders Field. I was raised by 6 brave Marines and sailors during the hell of Iwo Jima in the final hours of World War II. I haven't changed much. 238 years. I still have my original 13 stripes. But as each state came to the Union, a new star was proudly added to the constellation of my blue field. Started with 13, now they're 50. I've draped the caskets of our nation's heroes and borne to their last resting place the bodies of presidents, generals, admirals, humble privates, and the unknown soldier. Wherever free men gather, wherever there's justice, equality, faith, hope, charity, truth, and brotherly love, there too am I. When you place your hand over your heart and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to me, as we did just a moment ago, don't ever mouth the words, but think of what they mean to you and mean what you say. And when you come to the phrase, one nation under God, remember it matters not what your religious belief. It only matters that you hold your faith dear, that you practice it daily, and that you preserve it forever. History will never write my obituary, for I am the stars and stripes forever. I'm Old Glory. I'm your flag. I am you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you think patriotism comes out of someone's mouth, you're going to hear it in the greatest fashion you've ever heard. Irving Berlin would be so proud as he hears the voice, and you join her, Pat Walmsley, in singing God Bless America. Here she is, Pat Walmsley. We love you, Pat.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, this 70th year following the end of World War II. And just I thank you all, those of you who've served and are serving at, we can't thank you enough. And so this is a small token on my part to say thank you and to remind all of us that this country will not stay free unless we keep praying and asking God's divine intervention and providence. So, will you join me in singing God Bless America? Thank you. And let's sing it loud. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Once again, God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. I might from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Good morning. The Burbank Military Service Recognition Program is designed to pay tribute and express to our hometown heroes our appreciation as a community for their active service to our country. To date, approximately 130 plus banners have been proudly displayed on 3rd Street between Olive and McCambridge Park, bearing the name of the service member and the branch of service, along with the acknowledgement of thanks for their service. Each banner is to be remain displayed until the individual has completed their service commitment. At that time, the banner will be carefully retired and presented to them or their family as a keepsake and reminder of our community's pride in them. It's our pleasure today to present one to our own Veterans Committee member, and Mayor Fructose will do that presentation.
Good morning, everybody. We have a special presentation for one member of the Military Service Banner Recognition Program who is recently no longer on active duty. I would like to ask the following servicemen to please honor me and join me at the podium. Paul McKenna, Sergeant First Class with the United States Army. Paul? We are truly honored to recognize you today. On behalf of the Burbank City Council, the Military Service Banner Recognition Program Committee, and the City of Burbank, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude for your commitment and dedication to our community and the nation. It is with our pleasure to be able to have this opportunity to present you with your personalized street banner that was proudly displayed on 3rd Street during your time of service to our great nation. In addition, please accept this certificate and photograph of your banner to always remind you of Burbank's appreciation of your service. City of Burbank, presented to Paul McKenna, Sergeant First Class with the United States Army. In recognition of your participation in Burbank's 2015 Memorial Day ceremony, on behalf of the City of Burbank, I thank you for your service and dedication to our country. I am honored to present to you with this small token of appreciation and gratitude, signed this 25th day of May 2015, Bob Frutos, Mayor of the City of Burbank. Again, in sincere recognition of your service to our country and our city, again, it's just a small token, but we really appreciate you. Paul? And Paul, you and I have been very, very good friends for a very long time. So I'm very honored to be able to present to you the flag that we, the people of Burbank, had flown in your honor for your commitment to our country. Thank you, Paul.
Paul, as an Air Force veteran myself, it is an honor and privilege to welcome you home, brother. This is from Senator Carol Liu's office. Congrats.
Sergeant, as the child of a Vietnam veteran and someone who believes very deeply in the power of military service, I want to extend my personal gratitude, as well as the gratitude of California Assemblymember Mike Gatto for your many years of service, which are an inspiration to this community. Thank you.
Sergeant, I'd like to thank you for your service and your sacrifice. On behalf of Congressman Brad Sherman and a grateful nation, I'd like to present you with this flag as well. Go ahead first.
You're not off the hook yet. Paul, we all know your commitment to our country, God, and our city. but your passion for mentoring the youth through the Boy Scouts of America program. It's with great honor to invite up here Boy Scout Michael Garcia, who has a few words to share with you. Michael?
Well, Paul, or Mr. McKenna as we know him, is a great Catholic, a patriot, and a family man. And to us, he is our Scoutmaster. I would like to thank him for his years of service to not only our country, but to our troop as well. Thank you.
Smile, Paul! You're retired.
Let's have a nice hand for Paul McKenna. Welcome home, Paul. Thank you very much. And by the way, I didn't get to introduce her, but that was my colleague on the Veterans Committee, Mary Ann Christ, who explained to us what the Military Service Recognition Program was all about. And Chris Welker, who can't be with us today, I have to give credit to Chris. She's a retired police lieutenant from the city of Burbank Police Department, the best police department in the nation. And she is the one that spearheaded the drive to get these banners put up several years ago. And without Chris, these banners would not be up. So let's have a nice hand for Chris Welker. And now I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Colonel David J. Worley and the Crescenta Valley High School Air Force Junior ROTC Honor Guard to do the POW MIA table ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the POW MIA table to my right. At this time, we ask that you remain seated yet silent as we conduct the POW MIA ceremony. This ceremony is rich with military tradition as we honor those men and women of our armed forces who, in the defense of the freedoms of our country and that of the free world, are unaccounted for and are classified as prisoners of war or missing in action. We are specifically honoring the sacrifice of hundreds of thousands of Americans held prisoner of war and those still listed as missing in action since the time of the American Revolution. Some died from disease and starvation. Some perished in death marches. Some were tortured and some were lost, gone forever from their families. All were deprived of their liberties so that you may enjoy yours. At all military functions where meals are served, These heroes are always honored and remembered. This table is set for our prisoners of war and those missing in action from all wars. They are not with us today. The table is round to show that our concern for them is never ending. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms so that their children could remain free. The 5 hats represent each branch of our armed forces. Let us remember all the men and women prisoners of war that are too often forgotten. We must never forget them. Symbolizes the frailty of a prisoner alone, trying to stand up against his oppressors. The yellow candle and the yellow ribbon on the candle reminds us of those who will not be coming home. The single red rose reminds us of the loved ones and families of our comrades in arms who keep the faith and await their return. The red ribbon on the rose represents the love of our country, which inspired them to answer the nation's call. The black napkins on the table stand for the emptiness these warriors have left in the hearts of their family and friends. A slice of lemon is on the bread plate to remind us of their bitter fate if we do not bring them home. There is salt on the plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they wait and remember. Glass is inverted, reminding us that our distinguished comrades cannot be with us to join in today's festivities. Maybe tomorrow, if we remember. The faded picture on the table is a reminder that they are missed very much and are remembered by their families. The empty tilted chair depicts an unknown face, representing no specific soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, or Coast Guardsman, but all are here with us today. The POW-MI flag is posted behind me to warn the fact that many of our comrades will not return to our shores, and to pay tribute to their passing. As we look upon this empty table, do not remember ghosts from the past, but remember our comrades Remember those whom we depended on in battle. They depend on us to bring them home. Remember our friends. They are the ones we love, who love life and freedom as we do. They will remember what we do. Please honor and remember them. Ladies and gentlemen, let us have a moment of silence in remembrance of our prisoners of war and those missing in action. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Worley, and the Junior ROTC from La Crescenta. Before I go further, I'd like to introduce the members of the Veterans Committee. Without them, these ceremonies would not be possible. They work hard throughout the year and hoping and praying that these ceremonies come off like we all want them to. And without them, we couldn't do this. Greg Alimo, Rich Bainan, Barbara Bartman, Gary Brick, Marianne Christ, David Christ, Paul Currier, Dr. Jerry Jones, Florence Mast. Posthumously, I want to keep remembering Florence's name. Michael McDaniel, Paul McKenna Jr., Stephen Moss, Christopher Thomas, Doris Vick, Pat Wamsley, Brad Welker, Chris Welker, and John Wernstrom. When I read Doris's name, a friend of hers came all the way from Camarillo to be with us today. Her name is Josette Wingo, World War II naval veteran. Thank you, Josette. And I'd like to introduce Mike McDaniel to talk about the Ceremony of the Rose. Mr. McDaniel.
Good morning and welcome. It's great to see so many people out here to honor those from Burbank who have fallen in defense of our freedoms and in defense of our city and our way of life. Today is Memorial Day. It was originally known as Decoration Day. It began after the Civil War, and if you remember the fallen on both sides of that conflict. Communities such as ours would gather each year to place flowers on the graves of those who gave their lives. This tradition of placing flowers on soldiers' graves dates all the way back to Roman times for the Roman soldiers. Today, the community of Burbank continues to honor our fallen soldiers from all conflicts each year by decorating these monuments containing the names of our fallen, to assure that their names and the sacrifice which they have done for us will never be forgotten. Today, we will place a rose on each monument for the name on the plaques, as we read aloud their names for everyone to hear and remember. Today, we have, for the very first time, Girl Scout troops 5356 and 696 who will be doing the honor of placing the roses on the monuments. As is the tradition here in the city, if you are in the audience and are related to anyone whose name appears on our plaques up here, you are welcome to come forward, and we invite you to join the Girl Scout troops. And when the name is read for your ancestor or relative, you may place the rose on the monument in their remembrance. Please follow along in your program so that you can familiarize yourself with the names of those who sacrificed for us. We will now begin the ceremony by reading the names of the World War I soldiers who lost their lives from Burbank. Manuel Chaffino, Harry Leslie Colton, Ray Frederick Enos, James McLeod. I'd now like to invite Doris Vick to continue the reading of the World War II names.
Edwin Anderson, Herbert E. Anderson Jr., Winston H. Arnold, Lee Bargrer, Warren A. Barker, Clinton D. Barton, Neil Barton Jr., Kenneth Bell, Harold Bettel Jr., James B.A., Warren R. Bakeman, Donald Glasley, Arthur R. Borod, Rex Bodie, Herman Bauer, Louis Bramer, Donald Broman, Floyd L. Broman, Richard H. Burrow, Albert B. Bailu, H. Campbell, David Carrillo, Delbert Ben Carr, Robert W. Chambers, Glenn E. Chapman, John Morris Chase, Fernando Chavez, John Chovanich, Charles Christopher, Jack Clark, Alfred W. Cole, Walter Collier, Roy Conyers, Paul Concerdaire, Norman F. Craig, Claire C. Cross, Wallace Crowder, James Dennis, Tella DeSantis, C.W. Dickens, Robert A. Dibb, Robert Dismore, John Organ, Harry Dyer, Warren Dunaway, Richard Dunbar, Richard Dunkelberger, Edwin Evelger, A.D. Edelman, Glenn O. Elliott, Harley A. Ellis, Keith Edwin Ellis, Webb D. Marker, N.J. Elrott, Eugene Lloyd Farthing, Robert A. Frank, Leon Fartella, Raymond Fulford, James Gamblin, Ruben Garcia, George Jean, Edward Jean, Charles A. Getty, Douglas Lawrence Goff, Raymond Gonzalez, Edwin Green, John Gertie, Joseph Hockwell, Edward Ava, C.F. Hagerstrom, Gaylord Grant Hanley, Jack Harder, Patrick Harmon, Alvin Hart, Warren Haviland, and Archie Haviland Jr., Richard Hayward, Lawrence Healy, and D.E. Dennison, Carl P. Hepburn, and George Herman.
Robert A. Herzog, Herman H. Hetzel, Howard Hickenlooper, Donald Hinshaw, Norman A. Hollis, Felton A. Horton, Robert W. Howard. Thomas Hunter, Aubrey Hearn, Kurt Francis Jennings, Glenn E. Jewett, Arvin E. Johnson, Robert Johnson, Forrest J. Johnston Jr., Wayne A. Jones, Ernest L. Kearney, Richard Kimball, William F. Kinsey, William N. Kirkland, Max Kruger, Thomas Lake, Donald Landis,
Paul Pallone, James Landisberger, thanks, Albert Lemon, Melvin Lieberman, Sam Lieberman, Gordon R. Lofgren, John S. Lombard, Charles S. Lonergan, Harry Long, Lawrence R. Long, Earl Loudon, Wilbur C. Mattern, William F. McChesney, Vernon McElmurray, Jack Henry, Robert McNish, Eugene Madole, William A. Messina, George Milburn, William Montendon, Joe Morris, William J. Morrison, Troy B. Mullenix, Alvin Musson, Douglas L. Mutschelder, James William Myers, Norman L. Myers, Wesley N. Myers, Warren F. Nielsen, Carl V. Nelson, Harold Nelson, Frank C. O'Donnell, Fred W. Oedel, Peter Ogborn, Billy B. Parker, Robert Spencer Patterson, William A. Pelkey, Floyd Penry, Jack R. Perez, John Pilkington, John Frederick Plouffe, J. A. Pritchard, Jr., James G. Purdy, Barthelmus Quinte, Glenn Rain, Douglas Richards, Joseph D. Riston, Gerald Roberts. John?
Virgil Robertson, B.C. Robinson, Fred C. Rowland, William A. Rutledge, John Samorian, Quentin Sondal, Daniel Sonder, Creighton Schaefer, George R. Schaffer, Roy Clifford Shear, Robert E. Schmidt, C.E. Schmidtke, Robert L. Schrug, Paul Schwartz, W.E. Seagren, Arthur B. Sherman, J.J. Signorelli, Nathan Silver, Jess Edward Simpson, Edwin Slocum, Roger A. Smith, Elmer Snodgrass, William Alexander Schneider, Dudley M. Steele Jr., Sam Stamolo Jr., Dwight D. Stone, Myron K. Strickland, William Stripe, August W. Sulflo, Joseph M. Sundin, Richard Sussman, Ray Swenson, Philip B. Taylor Jr., Walter Merrill Taylor, William E. Taylor, Charles R. Teal, Robert Tegart, Milton A. Tolman, Charles Franklin Townsend, Nelson Troop, Richard Tall, Don Van Atta, Walter Vernon, Lloyd Wade, Menard P. Walmsley, William Taylor Wattenberger, Ray Weber, Albert O. Wedden, Robert P. Westbrook, Arthur White, Robert V. Vickers, Donald L. Wickersham, Jack Wiles, Johnson B. Wiles Jr., Richard D. Williams, Robert K. Wilson, Ronald H. Wingate, Albert A. Wyatt, William H. York, and John T. Zimmerman. Chris Thomas will begin the fallen from Korea.
William J. Barnes, Donald S. Bills, Bobby S. Box, Edward L. Conyers, Max L. DeRosset, David M. Ellis, James Homer Elliott, Foster L. Delmar, Edwin Giron, Curtis A. Hatfield, William C. Caron, George R. Klein, Alfred J. Ledger Jr., Burton H. Levinson, Michael LaMagna, Arnold Nally, Larry Shiner, John D. Varney, Robert V. Wilson. To read the names of the fallen in the Vietnam War, former City Councilman and Veterans Committee member Gary Brick.
Jerry Joe Allen, Robin Annis, James M. Ball, Stephen P. Barnett, Christopher P. Battaglia, Arthur Skip E. Bedell, James A. Bean, my brother, Private First Class William H. Brick III, 23 August 68, Brian E. Bullock, Felix A. Calderon, Robert J. Campbell, Donald E. Close, Michael L. Corrigan, Thomas B. Daly, John A. DeRue, Frank A. DeFiglia, Douglas Dispensiero, Reese C. Elia Jr., Alan L. Elmore, Daniel P. Alas, Terry M. Enriquez, James H. Flickinger, Stephen D. Francis, John A. Jarrow, Wayne E. Halstead, Stephen P. Hansen, Norbert P. Hasselpau. And Mr. Greg Lama will follow me.
Robert K. Houle, Scott W. Ingleton, Douglas R. Johnson, George F. Kiefer, Steve M. Knopfel, James W. Kerr, Ronald R. King, Howard L. Klinsky, Edward L. Krausman, Robert F. Lavender, Edward R. Letourneau, Vaughn M. Lieberneck, Larry L. Maxim, Burbank High School, class of 1966, Medal of Honor. Gary T. McLean, Michael McKeever, David Moreland, Donald L. Morrison, Andrew J. Payne Jr., Stephen D. Pleasant, William C. Proctor Jr., Paul K. Quivillari, Robert W. Robinson, David Salisbury, Charles P. Searles, Sal Silva, Larry Stiffen, Quinter R. Tunuz, Kenneth J. Webb, Ray Leonard Willman, Jack P. Wilson Jr., and I'd like to invite Richard Bainan to read The Global War on Terrorism.
David J. Hart, Cody Phelps. That concludes the ceremony of the roses.
Thank you once again to the Girl Scouts for participating in the Ceremony of the Rose. I think it's nice to have the youth participate in our ceremonies as much as possible, because the men and women serving our country today aren't much older than they are. And I also want to thank the troop leaders, Sandy Sutter and Fabiola Garcia. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Miss Bobby Cranston to sing Forever Young. Miss Cranston.
May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung. May you stay, oh, forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you forever young. May you grow up to be righteous. May you grow up to be true. May you always know the truth and see the light surrounding you. May you always be courageous. Stand upright and be strong. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young. May your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of change shift. May your heart always be joyful. May your song always be sung. May you stay, oh, forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you
Bobby Cranston, accompanied by her husband Bryce on the guitar. Let's have a nice hand. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Bryce. Now I'd like to introduce the Honorable Mayor, Bob Frutos.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the City of Burbank, I would like to extend our thanks and appreciation for your attendance at today's Memorial Day ceremony here at McCambridge Park War Memorial. As Mayor of the City of Burbank, it's with great honor to participate in this ceremony as we honor the brave men and women from the Burbank community and throughout our great nation who have so bravely gave of their lives in defense of our wonderful country. Today's ceremony is a time for reflection, music, word, and song as we express our gratitude and deepest respect for those who served our nation in defense of our freedom. On Memorial Day, we pause to remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of freedom. I urge all Americans to recognize the valor, the sacrifice of these men and women. Let us honor our fallen heroes who have proven their heroes, bravery, and belief in the American way of life. Today, we would like to acknowledge the mothers, the fathers, husbands, wives, and other family members who provided strength and support of their loved ones who are serving in the armed forces. We are all aware that the ultimate price of their service was they did not come home to their families and friends. As family members and community members, let us never forget the men and women who lost their lives defending the United States of America. Once again, the City Council and the Veterans Committee thanks each and every one of you for making the time out today and attending today's ceremony. May God bless the United States of America. Thank you. I would like at this point to acknowledge the Veterans Committee, who has worked diligently since its inception to plan our Veterans event today. Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask each and every member of the Veterans Committee to please stand and be acknowledged for your work and to thank them for their dedication to ensure that the sacrifices of American heroes are never forgotten. Please face the audience, please. You deserve a round of applause. Thank you very much. At this time, I would like to honor and acknowledge my colleagues on the council who also made this possible today. Vice Mayor Jess Talamantes, Council Member Emily Gable Letty, Council Member Dr. David Gordon, from our Park and Recreations Community Service Department, Miss Judy Wilkie, who's in the audience. And not least, our City Manager, Mr. Mark Scott. We have some other dignitaries here that I'd like to call up for a few words. Our Honorable Congressman of I lost my place, of the 28th District, Congressman Adam Schiff.
Mr. Mayor, council members, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to join you today, and I want to begin again by thanking Mickey DiPaolo and the Burbank Veterans Commemorative Committee for the phenomenal job they do each and every year. You do an extraordinary job. It's one of the most beautiful Memorial Day commemorations anywhere in the country, I'm sure. I also want to acknowledge Paul McKenna and say congratulations and welcome home. And to thank you and your family for your many years of service. So we know it's a family undertaking. We're extremely proud of all you have done. I find myself this Memorial Day thinking a lot about several of the members of Congress that I have the honor to serve with. We have an increasing number of veterans in the Congress, which I think is a very positive thing. Probably not since the post-World War II generation have we had so many combat veterans in the U.S. Congress. They've served in a host of conflicts, and there are people like Paul Cook, one of my colleagues who represents part of the Inland Empire, a Marine, who served in Vietnam. He's a colonel, and was describing to me his service about a month ago and told me that he still kicks himself for having tripped a wire that set off an explosive. It was a wire made out of fishing line and very hard to see. But nonetheless, he was more worried about the injuries that he may have tripped of his colleagues than his own injuries, which were serious. And he told me how he looked around to see when he regained his faculties what had happened to the Marine who was standing next to him, called out for him. And happily he was injured but not seriously. And Paul described how his comrade had kind of an impish grin on his face, which seemed inexplicable given what had just happened, until he realized that this was his comrade's third injury, his third Purple Heart, and it meant that he was going home. It's people like Mike Thompson, my colleague from the Napa Valley, who was my roommate when I was in the state Senate. And I knew that he had served in Vietnam and a little bit about his service, but it wasn't until many years later when we were serving together in Congress that I found out, someone told me that he was a Purple Heart from Vietnam. And I was a little incredulous about this, that I could live with someone and not know that about him. And I said, Mike, did you get the Purple Heart in Vietnam? And he said, well, yes, I did. And I said, you never told me that. And he said, well, it's no big deal. And I said, well, what do you mean it's no big deal? I think it's a very big deal. And he said, well, it just means that I didn't duck as fast as I should have. And I think about people like Sam Johnson, one of my colleagues from Texas, who was a prisoner of war in Vietnam for 7 years. He spent almost half of that time, 42 months I believe it was, in solitary confinement. And I think about one of my colleagues that I most admire, John McCain, who I was on a Codell to a security conference in November, and who during dinner opened up about his experiences being shot down over Vietnam and staying in what he described as the Hanoi Hilton, the cruelty of his captors, the bravery of his colleagues. He didn't mention it, but of course I knew his history, the fact that he had been offered a chance to go home and refused, that he would not leave his men behind. What an incredible hero and public servant. Paid me a nice compliment at the conference. He said, you know, Adam Schiff, you're all right for somebody who's right only about 0% of the time. I have to realize that's high praise from John McCain. We were on a show together yesterday morning, and he paid me a nice compliment as well, telling the host that I like Adam Schiff. He's a pretty good guy for a communist. So I told the senator about my high school or my college professor, history professor, whose mother was a communist and lived on Park Avenue. And the professor would say, Mother, how can you be a communist and live on Park Avenue? And her answer was, I think everyone should live this way. But Senator McCain is spending Memorial Day in Arizona, in his home state, but later in the day he is off to Vietnam to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the opening of relations between our two countries. It says a lot about Senator McCain that he would do so. He told me yesterday, you forgive your enemies, but you never forget. And I think today we bear in mind that admonition of never forgetting. Not just our enemies, but more importantly, we never forget those who've served. Never forget the names of those who were read off to us this morning. The sacrifice they make, the sacrifice their families continue to make each and every year. And we thank God that we've had such wonderful people to serve this country. Thank you and God bless.
Next, I'd like to call the Honorable Mike Gatto, our Assembly member. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. You know, as all of us know, this year marks the 70th anniversary of the cessation of hostilities in World War II. And I want to take you back to the height of World War II today and talk about a hit song that was playing on the radio. The #1 hit at the time was a cover by Frank Sinatra called "I'll Be Seeing You." Do any of you remember that song? Okay, good, good. The song really was on everybody's mind at the time. You know, I've read several letters from my Uncle Joe, who was serving in the Pacific Theater. He had stormed Luzon Beach in the Philippines and was getting ready for what he thought was going to be the invasion of Japan. And he wrote letters home to my Aunt Vita, and in one of them, I'll never forget, he quoted those lyrics. And I think for many Americans at the time, both civilians and people in the military, the lyrics of that song took on a double meaning, because many people realized that the next time that they would see their relative or their comrade would be in the afterlife. And I want you to listen to the words and tell me if you can catch this theme. I'll be seeing you in all of the old familiar places that this heart of mine embraces all day through. I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you. It's a powerful emotion to know that someone you love, could be a brother, could be a father, could be a wife, a friend, that the next time you see them might only be in a memory. The concept is intense. And on Memorial Day, we open up the chambers of our hearts and we allow those emotions to flow freely. They're incredible feelings. And our spirits are filled with appreciation for those who sacrificed their last breath of life for the American cause. Today we drop the often disenchanted spirit of our modern times, and we come together to reflect on the virtue and the nobility of those who gave their lives for us. Each of those lives should be considered through the empathy we just felt when reflecting on those lyrics, and our knowledge that for every casualty on the other end was a grieving family, friends, and chances are a serviceman who knew that he too might not be coming home. My friends, this empathy is the essence of Memorial Day. And that empathy is a piece of greatness in all of your hearts. You've chosen to observe Memorial Day, not just with a beer, not just with a barbecue, not just with a day at the beach, but by coming to a ceremony like this. Because your spirit is moved by the same empathy and by the same love and the same sense of loss that so many American families have had to endure. And so today we mark those profound losses in houses of worship, at grave sites of our loved ones, in solitude, or in gatherings like this. And Burbank's, as Congressman Schiff said, is really just terrific. It's so great to see so many of you. And we give thanks, not just that certain men and women died for us, but that such men who are willing to give their lives walked among us. It's been said that the dead soldiers' silence is what really sings our national anthem. And it's a reminder that their absence made our way of life possible. But we, my friends, do not need to be silent. We still have the gift of life. We can speak for them. We can make sure that we lead our lives in a way that makes them proud. And we can make sure that we honor each and every one of them on this Memorial Day and always. Thank you so much.
I'd like to apologize to our school board member who I totally forgot to acknowledge. I'd like to acknowledge the honorable member, Armand, and I apologize for the last name, Akanya. Thank you, and I apologize for missing you the first time around. Welcome. I'd like to thank our federal and state elected officials for taking the time out and being here with our community, the people of Burbank. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, Assembly Member. And to my colleagues on the council, thank you for being here. There's one person behind the scene that I have to acknowledge that made the logistics happen. And that would be Victoria Cusimano. I just want to acknowledge you. All the details from the chairs and everything, the participation from the community members. Thank you, Victoria, for your commitment to us, the people of Burbank. Thank you. At this point here, I'd like to turn it over back to Mickey DiPaolo, who is the Vice Chair of our Park, Recreations, and Community Service Board members. Thank you, Mickey.
Thank you, Mayor Frutos. And I know Mayor Frutos mentioned Vicky's name, but I'd also like to remember the other staff that are here today. Our department head, Judy Wilkie, Park, Recreation, Community Service Director. Victoria Cusimano, Paul Pallone, and Monica Villasenor. When we have our committee meetings, the staff really bends over backwards to make sure that we get together and get what we want for these ceremonies, and they work really hard. They take a lot of pride in it. And even though we do have a drought, take a look at that beautiful roses. That's our Parks Department. They get out here and work hard to make sure this is ready every Veterans Day and Memorial Day. And now for the benediction by Dr. Jerry A. Jones, to be followed by Amazing Grace on the bagpipes, and Jeanette McFarland. Dr. Jones.
Thank you for the privilege of being with you today. I've gotten old and I've lost my voice. Listen with both ears, okay? Let's pray together. Oh God, once again, we have gathered as proud citizens of the city of Burbank and of our beloved United States of America. We have come to pay homage to those whose love for freedom cost them their life. Freedom that we enjoy and celebrate on a daily basis. My prayer is that as we celebrate with family and friends today, be it at a ball game, a picnic in the park, or a trip to the beach, that the sacrifices of more than 1 million brave men and women will not be forgotten. In all probability, if any one of those who fell in battle could speak, they would tell us to enjoy life and freedom, and each of them would likely say, I would gladly do it all over again, if need be. Bless us, Lord, as we leave these hallowed grounds. Bless our city leaders as they continue to stand for God and country. And God, please continue to bless America with the priceless gift of freedom. This I ask in your name, for your glory and for our good. Amen.
Please be seated. The Fallen by Lawrence Binion, written in 1914. They shall grow not old, as we that are left to grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you all for attending today's ceremony. Please pray for the safe return home of the men and women currently serving our country. And please pray for our fallen heroes and their families. And please continue to pray for peace. Thank you. Please stop by these memorials often. Have a great rest of the day. See you on Veterans Day. Is Jimmy Weldon still here? Yes, Jimmy. Jimmy's going to give us a great send-off today.
Thank you. We've got two things going for us on this earth, one of which we have no control whatsoever. That's time. When you hear someone say, do it this way and save time, think of the stupidity of that. You can't save 1/1000th of a second. It seemed like a moment ago we saw those planes come over and do their routine for us. That was over an hour and a half ago. Spend your time wisely because you can't save it. The only thing we own lock, stock, and barrel is our attitude. Don't let anyone step on your attitude. And to think about this, we have given special tributes to our veterans today. And if each one were standing here with me right now, they'd say, we want to tell you something. We died for you, but we want you to live for us. Be proud of America. And I want you to burn this in your thoughts as though they were saying this to you right now. I will live this day as if it is my last. And what shall I do with this last precious day which remains in my keeping? First I will seal up its container of life so that not one drop spills itself upon the sand. I will waste not a moment mourning yesterday's defeats, yesterday's ache the heart, for why should I throw good after bad? I will avoid with fury the killers of time. Procrastination I will destroy with action. Doubt I will bury under faith. Fear I will dismember with confidence. Each minute of today will be more fruitful than hours of yesterday. My last must be my best. I will live this day as if it is my last. God bless you. God bless America. Go get 'em, Tigers.